What the heck is a BISAC code and what do I need to do with it? Stay tuned. Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and independent publisher. I love sharing my insights on all things self-publishing with you. Before I get started on today's topic, please make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll be notified each week when I release new videos about all things self-publishing and making a career out of being an author. So today I'm going to go over BISAC codes because they actually come up fairly often when you are uploading your book finally. So a lot of authors spend time on the cover, on the content of their book, thank goodness, figuring out their keywords for their marketing copy. But then it's like, oh yeah, what is the BISAC code that pops up? So I'm going to go over that. So BISAC, BISAC, stands for Book Industry Standards and Communications. So the official definition that comes from their organization website says that it is the industry-approved list of standard subjects designed for use in the book trade in the US and English-speaking Canada. There are 54 major sections, and then they each have their own subsections. So why do they matter, and how are they different than keywords? So these codes are used by retailers to ensure that your book is properly shelved and categorized, as in your fiction book about space travel doesn't end up under a reference or nonfiction space travel section, like maybe stuff about NASA or the Apollo program, right? You want to make sure that people find what they want when they pick up your book and that those expectations match. So keywords are used in your marketing copy, right? So that way, if people are searching for certain things, your book will pop up based on those keywords. And also it helps when people are reading the description that they're triggering in their mind, oh, right, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want. The BISAC codes are actually the categories that you would be in as the corollary for Amazon. So you actually get to select two of these when you upload your book to KDP, and that's what they call their categories, but it is their corollary to the BISAC code. When you're uploading into IngramSpark, I think you get to pick up to 3. It is important that you pick the correct ones. So again, KDP, these are called categories, and for the most part, that's because Amazon has categories for products that can be purchased beyond just books. So it's easier for them to just say category versus BISAC code for books and then categories for everything else. If you listen to Dave Cheston from Kindlepreneur, you know that there is a super secret way that you can actually get up to 10 categories. And so I'm going to drop the link for that video where he explains that down below. So you aren't just limited to those 2 categories, but you want to make sure that you're not stretching things too much. So I'm going to go over a couple examples just to kind of show you how things would work. So I have 2 sci-fi series, right? So the first is the Infinite Infinite. It's more of an adventure sci-fi, much more light sci-fi, whereas Nailbiters is like sci-fi horror, thriller, much more intense. So for the Infinite Infinite, my categories on Amazon were fiction, alternative history, fiction, science fiction, time travel, fiction, science fiction, action, and adventure. So I want to make sure people who like those kinds of books can find my book in those categories. And obviously when I sell well in those categories, I want people who want to read books in that category to see my book listed pretty high. So for Nailbiters, I went with fiction, science fiction, post-apocalyptic science fiction, fiction, science fiction, alien invasion science fiction, and fiction, science fiction, first contact science fiction books. So this is something there where you really want to make sure things are correct, because these 2 books, yes, they're both science fiction, but there are so many different categorizations within there. You really want to make sure people are finding what they want when they pick up your book. I don't want them to be in the same category or have the same exact BISAC code, because somebody who likes sci-fi action adventure, it may not necessarily like my horror, sci-fi, post-apocalyptic alien invasion story, right? Now, I have seen people try to hack the system, and there's a lot of people out there who say, oh, I'm a guru, I know all about KDP categories, I know all about these codes, I'll tell you how you can become #1 in this category, and here's how you do it. And it's because they're telling you to just pick something that nothing would apply to, no matter what your book is. So there's one thing to write to a category, to say there's nothing in this category, I will write to it. There's other people I've seen where they have a fiction book ranked as a top seller in a nonfiction real estate investment category. Like, that's great that you're really highly ranked in that category and you can brag about it, but anyone who goes looking for like the best books on how to invest in real estate and buys that book because it's highly ranked is going to read it and be really confused as to why this fiction book is in there. It's not going to tell them what they need to know, and they're probably going to leave it a bad review. So it's one of those things where hacking categories is like a strategy for some authors just to boost their Amazon rankings, but I would say in the long run, like, you really want to be smart about this. Make sure your book aligns with the BISAC codes that you've assigned to it. Make sure that the BISAC codes you're assigning aren't completely off base, because that's going to misalign expectations with the customer. And ultimately, you want your customer to be happy. So I hope you found this helpful. If you have any other questions on BISAC codes or other of the more technical aspects of self-publishing, please drop those below in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really means a lot to me to get that positive feedback from you guys. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. That lets YouTube know that you're finding value from the content I'm putting out. It makes sure that you're here every time I release new content, and it helps to get it in front of other authors like us. So now you can go back to writing your book.